Just look what I've got on this table. The new Gardena electric chainsaw CSI 4020X. A real powerhouse, and just the thing to chop firewood with. Yeah, when things get cold this time of year, it's so lovely and warm with a wood fire, isn't it? I mean, it's great. Now, I'm not all that good at reading instructions for chainsaws, so, I've brought a friend along for you. So, may I introduce my right-hand man from the forestry department.
Hello.
And now you're going to tell us about this saw and what we have to watch out for.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay, so it's time we set about assembling it.
One moment. I think that first we should take a look and see if you're properly dressed for the work. Clothing shouldn't flap around, otherwise it could get caught in the saw. And you should also have protective, long, cut-proof trousers. Very good.
Right. And of course, well-fitting leather gloves, a safety helmet, safety goggles, ear protectors, and safety shoes. Right?
Right.
I'm a genius!
Okay, so now let's see how to assemble it all. Here's the guide bar, the cutting chain, and the housing. With the chain here, you have to avoid attaching it in the wrong direction.
That explains this little picture on the front of the bar.
Exactly. And how about holding the bar?
Quite unnecessary. This model of the Gardena electric chainsaw has a built-in magnet that holds the bar firmly during assembly so it can't fall off. So, in fact, there's actually no need to grow a third arm at all.
It really is extremely practical. And now we need a screwdriver to tension the chain.
Screwdriver? Think I've got a screw loose, do you? All Gardena electric chainsaws can be tensioned toollessly without a problem. And this one here's actually got the quick-fit one-hand chain tensioner. I think it's just superb, and what's more, it's unique from Gardena. Shall I show you? Just turn the wheel as far as the catch, and the chain is perfectly tensioned.
It's just great. I mean, all you do is turn the wheel and the chain has perfect play.
Well, let's get going then.
Steady on, not so fast. We must check on a couple of other things. For example, whether there's enough oil in the tank so the chain's adequately lubricated.
Oil filling, by the way, is really easy, thanks to the tethered filler cap. No more helpless rummaging in the grass.
Now the oil supply is secured, and the tank is 2/3 full.
So now we can get started.
Nearly. We still need to check the chain brake though first. Very important, the lever always has to be on stop. If, for example, you change the chain or do anything else to the saw, always put it on stop.
Okay, come on, why don't we finally get started?
No, not yet. The next thing we do is a safety check. We check the area and the wood.
Is genuine wood okay for you?
No. It's important to check that the working area is free of obstacles and that there's no one standing anywhere that's close to you.
And you?
I'm an exception.
Okay, explain.
Okay. The last thing you do is you look for a sawing location away from any knots. Then make sure that the wood is firmly placed and doesn't wobble, and that no nails are at the place you're sawing.
Now, before we get knotted, are you quite finished?
No. Just a moment, I have to explain why it's so important to bear all these things in mind. The reason is kickback. May I?
Sure.
Kickback means that the saw, quite unintentionally, makes contact with a hard object and flies up incredibly quickly. Here the chain brake does come on because the chain brake lever is pushed forward and the saw then comes to a halt. But airbags are most effective when they're not used, right?
Depends on the airbags, I suppose.
Just as important is that you don't saw with the upper end of the saw section.
Ah, so that's why there's that red mark at the front.
Exactly. If you stick that section into the wood, that can also cause kickback.
So always avoid putting the tip into the wood.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay then, why don't we start?
Sure.
The cable for the power supply goes in here. in the cable strain relief. That keeps everything from flying all over the place. If you let go of the trigger, by the way, the chain stops within 0.15 seconds. Always hold the chainsaw with both hands. Right hand on the rear handle, and a tight grip on both the guide and the rear handle. It's also very important to always stand safe and steady. Okay, now you can start the saw and begin.
It goes through wood like a hot knife through butter. Yeah, no wonder at 2,000 watts and a chain velocity of 15 meters per second.
That's right. That's almost as much power as a professional motorized saw. And notice anything while sawing?
The urge to saw even more.
I mean, apart from that. You're holding an inline chainsaw in your hands. These models are especially handy because the motor's placed lengthwise and not, as usual, at the side of the saw. That's ideal for limbing.
Limbing, aha. And what else can you saw with this saw?
Well, the saw's actually quite wonderful for clearing, or you can also fell small trees with it.
So it's amazing, really, how much you can make of it. Recently, a storm felled one of my trees. Can you show me how to do that limbing thing?
Sure.
It's over here. Fantastic. I definitely need a lot more trees extra to saw.
Yes, but by that time, you'll need to keep your saw in storage. And then it's important to store it properly. That means always dry and the bar shielded.
Yes, but first I'll cut my wood for the next 3 winters and then I'll put the saw into nice comfy storage.
Exactly, that's the spirit. And then when, after a lot of sawing, there's less and less sawdust and the chain's bumpy, and you find you need more and more strength for sawing, then it's time either to have the chain resharpened or to change it instead.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your helpful advice. I now feel that the challenge of chainsawing is right up my street.
And I'm very happy I could help. It's all yours.
So, the professional's gone and at last I can get started now there's more time for me. And if you have any questions, just take a look at the full film again.
The Gardena among electric chainsaws. Available in 3 models for every requirement. The electric chainsaws CST3518, CST3519X and CSI4020X. Gardena. Live your garden.